Hi everyone, BEGE 106 Understanding Poetry Important Short Notes. Pastorals viewed alternately as a genre, mode, or convention in poetry. The pastoral tradition refers to a lineage of creative works that idealize rural life and landscapes, while the term pastorals refers to individual poems or other works in the tradition. The pastoral tradition can be traced back to Hesiod, a Greek oral poet active between 750 and 650 BCE, roughly the same time as Homer. His most famous poem, Works and Days, is part farmer's almanac and part didactic exploration of the nature of human labor. Following Hesiod, the first written example of pastoral literature are commonly attributed to the Hellenistic Greek poet Theocritus, who, in the 3rd century BCE, wrote idylls, short poems describing rustic life. The term idyll means little scenes or vignettes. The earliest examples of pastoral style in English appeared in the late Renaissance period. A collection titled Eclogues by Alexander Barclay was published in the early 16th century, but pastoral mode in English was established later when Edmund Spenser published his debut work, The Shepherdess Calendar. The collection inspired countless pastoral verse deep into the 17th century, imitated by Michael Drayton, William Browne, and later by Alexander Pope. Spenser's calendar also preceded the country house poems of Ben Jonson, Robert Herrick, and others, which describes the landscapes on which estates and manors of wealthy families were founded. Irony. The word irony comes from the Greek character Iron, who was an underdog and used his wit to overcome a stronger character. The Greek word ironia derived from this character and came to mean dissimulation or purposely affected ignorance. The word then entered Latin as ironia and eventually became common as a figure of speech in English in the 16th century. Irony may be divided into categories such as verbal, dramatic, and situational. Verbal, dramatic, and situational irony are often used to emphasize in the assertion of a truth. The ironic form of simile used in sarcasm and some form of litotes can emphasize one's meaning by the deliberate use of language which states the opposite of the truth, denies the contrary of the truth, or drastically and obviously understated a factual connection. Other forms, as identified by historian Canop Thorwald, include didactic and practical irony. Irony is sometimes confused with events that are just unfortunate coincidences. For example, Alanis Morissette's song Ironic contains many events that are not ironic in any sense. She cites rain on your wedding day and a traffic jam when you are already late as ironic situations, yet these are merely bad luck. Bethas. Bethas, from Greek bathis, means deeds. Unsuccessful and therefore ludicrous attempt to portray pathos in art, that is, to evoke pity, sympathy, or sorrow. This Greek word originally indicated physical depths, that is, the ocean, but its use by Alexander Pope in 1728 brought the term a whole new application. That year, he published a mock literary essay entitled Peribathus, a Greek phrase that Pope translated as on the art of singing in poetry for the subtitle. Throughout the work, he sarcastically discussed the tendency of his literary colleagues to strive for hypsos, Greek sublime height, only to come crashing down into the depths. Bathos. What Pope was observing in his phenomenon was a literary works built up to something of considerable artistic value that results in a typically absurd or otherwise disappointing fashion. Pope knew that poets especially sought sophistication in their work. However, he also pointed out that they often fall short of this goal in often inadvertently hilarious ways. Betas can be used deliberately, though, when authors wish to add an element of humorous dissatisfaction, especially when they want to parody those who have employed betas unintentionally. Assonance. Assonance is the repetition of a vowel sound or diphthong in non rhyming words. To qualify as assonance, the word must be closed enough for the repetition of the sound to be noticeable. Assonance is a common literary technique used in poetry and prose and is widely found in English verse. Tongue twisters often use a combination of alliteration, that is, a repetition of same beginning consonant sound, and two different forms of assonance, or the repetition of two different vowel sounds. This is what makes them so difficult to say. Assonance is used for some of the same reason as alliteration. It can affect the rhythm, tone, and mood of a text. The repetition of certain vowel sounds, think short vowel sounds, from the letters U or O can create a melancholy mood. Assonance can be used in all types of literature, but is commonly found in poetry. Assonance provides poetic writing with rhythm and musicality. It also mirrors or changes the mood of a poem in order to match the subject matter. Beyond literature, assonance is also found in pop culture, especially in music. It is possible to use assonance in, in everyday speech. However, most people don't use it intentionally unless trying to woo someone romantically. Percontation. A question is just a question, right? Not according to one idea dating from ancient times, according to which there were two sorts of questions: those intended to obtain information and those designed to elicit confirmation or denial. A 19th century writer explained it like this: between a percontation and interrogation, the ancients made this distinction, that the former admitted a variety of answers, while the latter may be replied to by yes or no. The two types continue to be recognized today, but by terms such as open ended questions or WH questions: who, what, why, when, which, where, whose, plus how. For the percontation, short and closed questions, or yes no questions for the other. Though the term percontation might be useful to linguists and psychologists today, it was never popular, and shortly after Maitland's time vanished from the active language. Its source is the Latin noun percuntitio, the action of questioning. Curiously, its root is contus, Contus, a long pole, either a boat pole or a spear, lance or pike, prefix with per, meaning through. In this case, it appears that percuntitio was so vigorous or uncivil that it was like being pierced with a pole. As rhetorical questions are often sarcastic or ironic in tone. What was the use of sending you to school? For example, it has been suggested that the mark would be useful to express such emotions in online forums. Its advocates have given it new names such as snark and irony mark. The old name is never used. It would seem percussion mark is too long, unfamiliar, or hard to spell to be acceptable. Percussion point. The backward question mark was proposed in late 1500s as the ending to a rhetorical question.